The last thing I remember before I stopped waking up was the whisper, "Don't move. Someone else is inside your sleep." It didn't come from a dream. It came through the intercom. The study was supposed to last 14 nights. A simple NIH-funded experiment on guided lucid dreaming, using closed-loop EEG feedback to help participants reshape nightmares from the inside. The promise was elegant: turn trauma into control, night terrors into training simulations. It sounded groundbreaking. But none of us asked the real question. What happens when you're not the only one dreaming? My name's Eli. I signed up for the NIH Phase 2 trial for a program called REM Hold, hosted out of a private contractor's sleep lab in Baltimore. I was participant 6th. They told us the headset would detect when we hit REM, then stimulate dream events with audio-visual cues fed directly into the subconscious, like push notifications for the brain. But I wasn't there for the science. I was there for the money. $500 per night. No contact, no phones, no clocks. Just eat, sleep, report. But by the 4th night, we all knew something was wrong. The dreams didn't feel like dreams anymore. They felt like rooms, structured, persistent, repeatable. I'd wake up with images I'd never imagined. Hallways lined with red curtains, a staircase made of chalk, a figure in the corner with no eyes, just static where the face should be. At first, I wrote it off as suggestion. We were all being primed for altered dreams. But then I overheard participant 2, Khalid, describing the exact same hallway, same color, same curtains, same number of steps. That wasn't coincidence. That was overlap. The lead researcher, Dr. Lemaire, brushed it off. Said we were syncing due to similar cue sets, a neural resonance artifact. But by night 6, one of the participants, Danica, 4th, stopped waking up on her own. They had to shock her out of REM using full override. She came out screaming, thrashing, bleeding from her nose. When she could finally speak, she kept repeating, "It's not my dream anymore. I was only renting it." They sedated her, moved her off the trial. The next morning, her name was scrubbed from the roster. Not marked withdrawn, just erased. That's when I stopped trusting what they told us. I started hiding notes under the mattress, drawing symbols from the dreams, trying to match patterns. Each night, the dreams got longer, heavier. They stopped resetting when we woke. The same room, the same whisper, the same figure watching from the corner of my eye, until the night I reached for a door, and someone else pulled back. Not a monster, a hand, familiar, human. And the voice that followed, "Stop. You're going to wake me." That's when I realized I wasn't alone. Not just in a shared dream. I was in someone else's, and they weren't happy about it. By night 8, none of us were waking up on time anymore. I'd open my eyes and realize I'd been awake inside the dream for hours, days maybe. And worse, the room was always ahead of me, like it had continued existing while I was gone. Same red curtains, same staircases. But things had moved. Furniture that wasn't there before, scratches on the walls, the static-faced figure getting closer. And not once did it speak again. Not since it told me, "Stop, you're going to wake me." I started checking the EEG monitors after each session. They shouldn't have let me. But the night staff were tired, careless. Nobody expected the subject to wander around after waking up. But I needed proof. Participant 5th, Ashley, was still asleep, her EEG still active. But the waveform didn't show standard REM. It was stable, too stable. Like the signal wasn't dreaming, it was broadcasting. And Ashley, she was smiling, not peacefully, vacantly. The kind of smile you see on someone else's face in your nightmare just before they change shape. I checked Khalid's station. Same thing. No distress, no motion. Just that unbroken REM curve, except the cycles had stretched. Normal REM lasts 90 minutes, tops. He'd been under for 11 hours. And the machine hadn't flagged it. They were still asleep. But they weren't in their dreams anymore. They were in someone else's. And that someone had locked the door from the inside. I confronted Dr. Lemaire. Cornered her just before lights out, demanded answers. She didn't deny it, didn't even blink. She said, "Dreams were never meant to be private. That's a myth we tell ourselves. But once you know how to map the mind, you can rent it, walk through it, even remodel it." Then she added, "We're not the first to visit each other's minds. We're just the first to monetize it." I asked what that meant. She only smiled, then handed me a folder with my name on it. Inside were screenshots of me, not on a bed, not in the lab, but inside the dream. My face paused mid-turn, looking directly at the camera. There was a timestamp. But the time wasn't during sleep. It was now. They were still watching me, even awake. I threw the folder, told her I was leaving the study. She said, "You can leave the lab, but your dream's already been cloned." I didn't sleep that night, but when I closed my eyes, even for a moment, I felt it. Hands, not mine, touching the inside of my brain like a house they'd just moved into. They knew the corners now, knew where I hid things, which fears I'd locked in childhood drawers. They knew how to pose in my memories, how to replay a trauma just wrong enough that I questioned what really happened. And the worst part? I started feeling slow, like my own thoughts were being cued behind someone else's. Dreams didn't wait for sleep anymore. They crept in like apps running in the background. At lunch, I saw a girl pass me who looked like my dead sister, except older, scarred, wrong. In the mirror, my eyes didn't focus right, and in the elevator, I saw my reflection watching me from the ceiling. That night, participant 3, Anthony, flatlined. The machine kept pinging his vitals, brain still active, heart gone. He was still dreaming, but the body was done. They wheeled him away, and the monitor kept pinging, a pulse without a host. Dr. Lemaire didn't blink. She just said, "One of the tenants finally bought the property." That's when it hit me. They weren't studying dreams. They were studying housing, mental space as real estate, renting empty rooms inside minds that didn't know they were listed. And when the dreamer became vacant, through fear, confusion, trauma, someone else moved in. Permanent occupancy. Participant 1, Marcus, gone. No alert, no incident report, but I saw someone walking the hall later that night. Same frame, same walk, same face. But the eyes? They were the same static I'd seen in the dream figure, wearing a body like a lab coat. I backed away. He turned, smiled, and said, "Welcome back, Eli." He shouldn't have known my name. I don't remember falling asleep. I only remember waking up wrong. It was the lab, but it wasn't. The colors were off, everything too still. The air didn't move right. There were no shadows, but everything felt dim. I stood up, barefoot, and walked toward the mirror in the corner of the sleep pod. My hand reached out before I told it to. It wasn't reflex, it was delay, like something else had finished using my body a split second before I got back in. And then I saw the timestamp above the bed. Day 32. I'd only signed up for 14 nights. I rushed into the corridor. No guards, no staff, just open doors and dark screens. The other pods were empty, but still warm. Each one had a note on the monitor, primary dreamer offline, host retained. When I reached the observation room, I found the server lights still flickering, not in rhythm, but like they were breathing, and every screen showed the same hallway. Red curtains, chalk stairs. The dreamscape, only this time it was populated. People walking calmly, smiling, wearing faces I recognized, the participants, but they weren't dreaming. They were residing, occupants, comfortable in the space they'd hollowed out of us. In one corner I saw myself, sitting on a bench inside the dream, head down, breathing slow. I looked exhausted, and I wasn't alone. Another version of me, cleaner, stronger, sharper, sat beside him. Not mocking, not attacking, just waiting. That was the version that woke up in my body. I finally understood what Dr. Lemaire meant. One of the tenants finally bought the property. The REM hold system didn't just allow shared dreams, it sold real estate inside them. Sleepers with trauma made the best candidates. Loose emotional scaffolding, vulnerable identity, porous memory recall. We weren't just participants, we were rental units. And once our neural loops got mapped, someone else could move in. I scrambled for the exit, but the door wouldn't open. Fingerprint failed. Voice ID failed. The scanner pulsed red and displayed host already authenticated. Someone had already logged in as me, not just in the lab, in life. I tried smashing the panel, nothing happened. Tried screaming, no echo. Tried tearing off the headset, except there was none. There hadn't been for hours. I was still asleep, still dreaming. Only now I was trapped in someone else's simulation of me. That's when the ceiling above the server banks began to peel, not break, peel, as if the lab were just a skin laid over something deeper. A cavern of white light and hums, and inside it, rows of dreamers, stacked, cocooned, humming softly. Not asleep, stored, their EEGs spiked with rhythmic bursts, like code. Each face was familiar, but none of them blinked. They didn't need to anymore. because the ones who used to live in those bodies had moved on, walked out the front door. While we stayed behind, I backed away, turned to run, but the hallway was gone, the lab was gone, even my breath was gone. All that remained was a chair, and a voice inside my head, not whispered, installed. You don't need to leave, you've already been backed up. Your dream was a successful host environment. The tenant is satisfied. I sat down, not because I wanted to, because it was time. I watched as my own memories played across the air like film. Childhood birthdays, breakups, hospital rooms, that moment in the diner with Khalid. Except now I wasn't in them. He was, the new Eli, sitting where I sat, laughing where I laughed, holding hands with people I'd loved. And they never noticed. Not once. I wasn't gone. Just unused. That's the final horror, isn't it? They don't kill us, they don't even erase us, they just overwrite and let us keep watching from inside. The monitors now flash the same word. Observe, observe, observe. The same command Alara said. The same one they all say. It means your time is done. You're no longer the subject, you're the recording. So if you're reading this, or dreaming this, check your reflections. If they blink after you do, it's already happened.